Well, it finally happened. Janet has escaped me for the day and left me on my own. She's gone off with Tracy to play. I guess they've gone to have a spa or something, or spend money shopping, God knows, buy new cozies, sort of things that girls want to do when they're on their own, and she left me on my own. But I have had the arduous task today of moving 200 litres of water from just up here. There's a tap I found, which is just underneath banisters at Port Stephen, and the freshwater tap has given me 200 litres of water, and I'm wrecked. Carrying the water back and forth over to the boat has just got hair on it, and I'm just about done doing it. John and Tracy's catamaran Stormtrooper Fusion 40 just moored, basically next to us. That's us over to the right, and basically I've got all my water here ready to go back onto the boat. This is my third trip today, and I'm knackered from doing it. Here they are. Look at this. Come on. They're back from shopping. God knows how much they spent today. Didn't spend as much as I did. Hello. Well, how was today? Did you guys go shopping or something, did you?
On the spa.
Oh, you had the spa. Nice. Well, I'm getting you on video because
Do we look relaxed?
you look pretty relaxed, but I'm portraying the hardship of moving water. That's my third trip and I'm done. Oh, excuse me.
Told you where the
She's bloody got the violin going. Look at this.
Told you where you can connect to a free jetty. I've shown you.
We're going there. We're going to go there, but not today. So,
You can do lunch again.
well, I've got another favour to ask.
Go on.
Because I lost my shit moving this water, I've actually bought a water maker today,
Woohoo!
and it's going to get delivered to your house.
Oh, okay.
So it is not going to end up on Stormtrooper, is it? Maybe.
John, what do you think? No.
No, you bastard! You are not getting it. You are not getting it. I'm going to sit outside your door and wait for the parcel to deliver. But
If I'm watching and said, oh, by the way,
have you got
Yeah,
thousands
for
of
the
dollars?
boat. There is no budget for the boat, remember.
Have you got thousands of dollars worth of chiropractic in you? I don't think so, because I'm going to need it with that bloody work that I've been doing today. Shocker. So while Janet was off having a day spa with Tracy yesterday, I converted our electric freshwater toilet on the starboard side to a saltwater one, and now we can have guilt-free toileting. So nice to be using salt water instead of fresh water. I mean, it was just a dumb decision. I'm not even sure why they even make them freshwater. It does my head in. I know there's a smell factor, but if you're using it regularly, that's just not going to be an issue. So I spent 8 hours down in that bilge, and then realised that I'd overfilled our water tank on the starboard side and put about 30 extra litres into the bilge. So I had to hand sponge that out, whatever I couldn't get out with the bilge pump. And that was pretty poxy. Spent about an hour and a half on my belly with my arm down in the bilge with a sponging into a bucket. Janet was removing the bucket, and basically 3 full 10-litre buckets full of water came out of that bilge. So I spent all day moving water onto the boat. So we're now full again after a week on the water without filling up, and 30 litres of it went straight back overboard because I was just a fool. I didn't check it as I was putting it in. I just kept putting it in. Anyway, those are the things you learn, and I've now got a breather in the hallway that I can actually see when it's overflowing, because it's very hard to tell because I would not trust the sensors. But what I did do is I spoke to Kalim at Watermakers Australia, and I've ordered and paid for a water maker that's going to be delivered to our friends John and Tracy, as long as John doesn't try to secret it onto his boat, onto Stormtrooper, because he hasn't got a water maker, I don't think. I think we'll be okay, but if he takes off with it and does a runner with it, then I might be in trouble. No, it's getting delivered to their house. Hopefully we'll get that before we leave and I can begin the install. One thing that we've found is that dealing with Australian companies is so easy. We just ring them and have a good chat with them, and Kalim was just fantastic. The backup service and the ability to be able to call him when you've got a problem is just second to none. You can't get that with many companies these days. It's all online and app driven, and generally you go round and round in circles. But to have a guy you can actually contact and have a chat about any problems you might have. So when it arrives, I'll be certainly talking to him about the install. We'll do a full video on that install, which is so important because these things are fairly complicated. Even though they look simple, they're a fairly complicated item, and there's obviously control panels and things that are going to have to be installed as well. And bought a modular system, which means I can install it pretty much in all over the boat. And I intend to have it running into both tanks with facilitating a wire valve that can direct water into either tank or both at the same time, or maybe not at the same time, but we can facilitate that filling on both sides of the boat. Now this wind is just eroding me. It's a howling westerly.
It is lovely.
Oh, it's a beautiful spot, isn't it? It's bloody cold though. Wow. Cruising in winter in New South Wales is... Well, we tried to get north, but Janet just couldn't get her act together. So we're having a couple of autopilot issues, and we fear that there's air in our hydraulic lines. Now these haven't been bled since day one, since the day before we launched. So we've had no problems with it, apart from the autopilot sort of puffs out every now and then. It just decides it doesn't want to work, and we fear that it's hitting a pocket of air. And obviously compressed air is not like oil. It's basically going to make it sort of have a little conniption. So we've set ourselves up to do a bleed. What I've done is I've actually got a motorbike reservoir here that lives here somewhere, and we can actually monitor the fluid levels, but because we've never drained it or bled the system, I fear that we've got multiple pockets of air in the autopilot pump, and obviously along with the piston. So Janet's going to be up here turning the helm, and I'm going to be down in the sugar scoops and bleeding each of the nipples. There's 4 of them, and they need to be bled sort of independently of each other. And then we'll close off the valve, and then we'll run the autopilot pump and bleed that as well. So that gives us the option to essentially bleed the entire system. I'm not sure it's going to solve the whole problem, but it will certainly get rid of a little bit of the lag in the steering. Obviously hydraulic steering can be a little bit soft at times, and the better it's bled, the better it's going to run. So given it hasn't been bled for 18 months, it's time to do it. We're in a beautiful cove here at Fame Cove on the Port Stephens, and we've had 4 or 5 days up in this area. It's just a stunning area, and we're waiting on our water maker from Kalim at Watermakers Australia, so we've got plenty of time to sort of get jobs like this done before we head further north Friday or Saturday. I'm down in the sugar scoop at the back of my steering station, and we've got our high drive piston here. Basically what you do is you hook a clear hose, an 8mm hose on, and drain it down into a bucket. You ideally want some fluid in there so you're not introducing any air into the lines, and then you loosen the nipple here like this, and then Janet's going to cut off our bypass valve. Okay, and then she's going to turn the helm. So Janet's going to then go up onto the helm there and pump. As she's doing it, she's topping up a reservoir which has got a hydraulic head on it, and basically pushing the fluid through the system and bleeding the whole system out. We got a little bit of air out of the other side, but not as much as I anticipated. I'm quite surprised. There was quite a bit to start with, and then it was just gone. And then we ran the autopilot as well, so that's the process at the moment. We'll just have a look what this does. Righto, so Janet's going to just turn the helm from left to right. Yep. And you can see the air and the fluid. There's a bit of air in there, but what I'll do is get rid of that. We'll take it right up here. You can see, well, as long as we've got clean fluid coming out with no air, there could be aerated, slight aeration in there, like an aerosol type thing, but ideally you don't want any air bubbles. Righto, so as Janet turns the helm, what happens is the fluid actually comes into this reservoir here, and if I can see any air coming out, originally tons of air came through that nipple to start with, but that was at the very end, so that would mean that it's probably trapped in the piston. Keep going, darling. That's okay, just keep going. Yep. And Janet's continually topping up there as we turn it from side to side, and then we have to do this other one on this side and make sure there's no air in that line, because that's the return line. And obviously the more you pump it through, the better, and as long as we maintain that head up there, we're actually expelling all the air out of the system, and it's quite an easy process. You just have to be pretty methodical, and then we have to align the rudders, and then we have to lock off the bypass valve. Perfect. Is that pumping oil now or not? No. Well, that's a good sign. Right. Yeah, go back. Yep. Beautiful. There's no air in this whatsoever. Okay, and centre. Yep. There. A little bit more. Stop. Righto, that's good. Righto, that's cool. Okay, now we've moved it from this one over to this one here. We've got about, about 300 mils of oil, which should be corresponding to what Janet's putting in up there. Is that right?
I reckon maybe 400.
Yeah, that'll be okay. That sounds pretty good. Righto, so Janet's going to pour in another 400 mil in there in a moment, and we're going to bleed this line. Righto, let's start bleeding this one. Let's turn it again. And note down in here, I've actually got it immersed. Oh, here we go. Are you turning it? You're turning it?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. It's working. Yep. It's just. And the trick is to get the air bubble to go up. This air bubble here is just got to go upwards to get out of the system.
So it arrived. The water maker arrived on time. John's just delivered it for us. Thank you very much.
I forgot to get John on the video because John's just flown in from the UK this morning, but we had our water maker from Water Makers Australia delivered to John and Tracy up at Corlette, and here we are, just anchored we're moored here at Nelson Bay, and this is a lot of gear, Colin, mate. This is going to be fun installing this. We'll get onto it in a couple of weeks, but for now we're going to head north towards Brisbane, and whenever we're at anchor for a couple of days, we'll get in and start the install of our new Water Makers Australia 160 litre an hour water maker system. Can't wait. Thank you, buddy, and it's going to be amazing. It's a lot of gear here. Let's get going. Would you like to get the oil in there for me? I'll tell you what.
That's complaining about the weight, so I'm not doing it.
That's a lot of weight to put in a boat, but it's going to make us totally off grid. Hopefully it doesn't sink. You know it won't sink, but how are we going to get it back in the water? Wow, what a delivery. That is an incredible amount of stuff. Anyway, we've got it all. Time to get back to the boat. Let's go. All right, it's all made it on board safe. Damp box, but we had a massive... That fishing trawler went past just as we got to the boat, 3 foot wake of it, so we were hiding behind the boat and still the waves were coming in and breaking. So we're lucky to get it back on board without getting wet. Anyway, it's all here. We've got to find somewhere to store it as we're heading off at 5 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and we're heading north, probably to around Camden Haven, which is about, it's going to be about 12 hours of probably motor sailing at this stage, and we'll head north there tomorrow. Maybe have a day or so there, and then we'll head further north to Coffs Harbour, where we'll have a bit of a break in a marina, pull up at Coffs Harbour Marina, because from there to Queensland is basically an overnighter. So we'll be having some pretty big legs, and the swell is to change and swing around to the northeast, which is not ideal for any of the bar crossings from Coffs Harbour north. So we'll just make a bolt for the Gold Coast, which is where the big inland seaway is, and once you're in there you can basically head all the way up the inside of Moreton Island and right up the inside passages there up towards Harvey Bay, or at least to Noosa. Once we get up to Noosa area we can then head inside of Fraser Island and keep going north. Yesterday we bled the steering lines, did a great job. It was all clean, we had no real issue. I did spurt a bit of oil onto my new Osmo camera, which was pretty unimpressive, but luckily it didn't quite affect it. However, we bled the lines, and then on the way back across the bay here towards Nelson Bay, we thought we'll do a recalibration of the Autopilot. That was a great concept, except it wasn't steering in the right direction. The Autopilot pump was stalling on me, and I think that's to do with the bleeding, but also I don't think the calibration of the compass was correct. So it's had us worried, because we don't want to head north without an Autopilot. That would just be, crazy, because then we're basically hand steering all the way to Queensland. That's just not going to happen. So we woke up this morning, checked with AI and checked a couple of the manuals from Garmin, worked out that if we went through the dockside installations first, which establishes the compass and the steering in the right direction, and then we went on to a sea trial after a couple of hit and miss episodes. We went on to another sea installation, basically the sea trial wizard that comes with the Garmin Autopilot, and we went out into the middle of the bay here. You do have to be a little bit careful here, because there's a lot of sandbars in Nelson Bay or in Port Stephens, once you head out there, we had plenty of room. We were able to put it through its paces, and very happy to announce that it was perfect. So we've got an autopilot back again after all of that bleeding and all that worry, and Janet and I have been pretty hyped about it because without that, you're pretty much hand steering 24 hours a day, and that's just not going to happen. Good morning, everyone. It's about 5:45 in the morning, and we're off Broughton Island off the Port Stephens coast, heading north to Camden Haven, or particularly, or perhaps Smoky Cape. We're not really sure yet. It depends on how the day goes. We started at about 4:30 this morning, headed out of Port Stephens, and yeah, it was an amazing trip out. Very, very dark, and our new clears that we've made here, we actually had to pull this front one down because it was a bit distorting. So I think I've learnt as soon as before I leave early in the morning to just pull the clear down, because it just does enhance your vision so much, especially at night where you got a little bit of reflection off the isinglass on the clears. But anyway, we're heading north. Conditions are just amazing. We've got a light 8 to 10 knot westerly at the moment. We're going to have some breakfast before we put the sails up, and then we'll drop the motors off a little bit. But we're cruising around about 7 knots, and we've got about 80 nautical miles to go, probably around potentially around about 75 nautical miles now, because we've already done about 5 or 6. Beautiful morning, day's breaking, and this is a whole new thing for Janet and I. We've been waiting in Port Stephens for our water maker to arrive, so we're now able to head off and head north, and we'll begin to install that over the next few weeks, and just show you how we put that in, because we've bought a modular system that is able to be installed in several different compartments, which is ideal for us because we've got the space and we want to have good access to those filters. But for now, long day ahead, about 10 more hours or so at least, and we'll anchor up for the night, or more up for the night, in Laurelton or Camden Haven, and then we'll see how the next couple of days pans out. It's pretty calm. We've got about half a metre of easterly swell, probably up to about a metre max, and it's just absolutely ideal. So our next headland is Seal Rocks. Seal Rocks up in the distance where the lighthouse is up there, and yeah, Broughton Island. I used to do a lot of diving here. In fact, I actually spent a lot of time fishing out here with my brother-in-law at the time, who's no longer our brother-in-law, but he had a place just not far from here. He spent a lot of time bouncing the bottom here. We caught some pretty amazing snapper, Australian snapper off here, off Broughton Island, but we are likely to come back here. On our way back down, we're likely to come back and spend a couple of days here and just anchor up here, because it is a stunning anchorages around the other side of this island here, which is sheltered from a lot of the prevailing winds and swells. Well, just had our first 2 whales for the day, and oh, they're massive. We've just been up a few times. They're right beside us, like 50 metres to our right, maybe 100 metres, maybe 100 metres out. You see the footprint there? They are. Wow, cool. There's 2 there. Just passing Seal Rocks. Morning coffee time with Jan. It's a bit chilly. It's not freezing, but
It's an oldie, but it's a goodie.
Yeah.
I love this one.
I walked away a moment ago and came back, and Jan just said, I need you to keep me warm. So she likes me on the windward side of the boat so that I act as a windbreak. We are scoping out anchorages for our trip back down, just to make sure we have a good feel of the lie of the land. But this is Seal Rocks. Definitely an option in a big southerly swell if you needed to hide out somewhere. Beautiful spot. Used to dive out of this place a long time ago, 30 plus years ago. Actually, there is a bit of swell coming in here though, even in an easterly swell. Yep. Hey! Hello guys! Your bloody Nanook sitting back there with a beanie on. What a stunner of a day. It's like a metre of swell and there's no wind. We're motoring along because there's just nothing to speak of. And I've just had a pot of dolphins. I mean, this is what you dream for. Like days like today, about 20 degrees. Doesn't get any better than this. Well, someone's pretty happy behind her clears. Your clears are amazing. They look fantastic, and you know what? They work. They keep the cold out, don't they?
Certainly do.
Yep, awesome.
Well, now the sun's out, it's really getting warm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like a little sauna. Might be taking them down when we get to Queensland.
Awesome. Yeah, probably, and that's fine.
Yep, definitely.
Please take the front one there.
Huge pot of dolphin in the distance here, and they've heard us coming and they're on their way over. Oh, I just cracked the skull on the roof. Almost as if they hear us coming and then they just go, well, I'm going to catch a ride on that. Oh, here they come. Look at this. Yes! Guys, look at that. Oh, that is unbelievable. Oh my God. Wow. That is beautiful. Oh, what a cracking day, eh? It's just insane. Are they gone? Big creatures, aren't they? So healthy. Oh, what an experience. Those dolphins are just incredible. We had them for like half an hour. Absolutely beautiful. Just passing Foster. And I'm texting my mate Paddy who lives in Foster, and he said swim out. And then the bugger sent me a picture of us on the marine traffic. So that's so cool that someone can look us up and see us on marine traffic and see us going past. And I'd like to drop in and say good day to Steve, but not today. We're on a mission to get north. We are that new at this. We've got 2 plotters going. We've got Navionics on a tablet, which I guess is pretty much the standard. And we've also got our chart plotter. So Janet's studying one, I'm studying the other, and then we're trying to correlate the difference. And there really isn't, because I think they're owned by the same company. But anyway, we've got our chart plotter, our 12-inch Garmin here, coming up towards Diamond Head. And we're doing about 7.8 to 8 knots, motoring. No wind today, and then Janet's got the Navionics going here on the plotter. Probably should have it in chart mode rather than satellite mode, I guess, but that doesn't matter.
That?
Yep, that's the one. Chart, nautical chart on the left. What an afternoon. So that's Crowdy Head back at the south there. We had a look at that little marina in there, but there was work going on inside Crowdy Bay, in the marina in the harbour there. They had a couple of cranes, had witches' hats in the water. It was like, wasn't really a nice feel, and we're better off to head off to Laurelton and just get to Laurelton and Camden Haven and find a spot for the night. We have a Garmin Reactor 40 Autopilot, and I'm going to just call it Reactor because that's a cool name. But I've trusted it all day, especially after our incident yesterday with me decommissioning it and reinstalling it 3 or 4 times to get it to work. Obviously I did something really stupid. I tried to reinstall the entire thing from scratch without doing the initial dockside setup after bleeding all the steering, and happy to report as of today, in about 11 hours of motoring, faultless. It's making some little honker noises, which I think is actually normal anyone knows about the Reactor 40, certainly I don't expect it to be silent, but it's a little 2 litre per minute hydraulic oil pump, and it's been working just flawlessly. We've got a bar crossing to make at Laurelton. We've just had a look. Luckily there's a live webcam, and we don't have Starlink on board. We're not sort of in that desperation yet, but if we lose 4G or 5G up the coast here, then we certainly will consider a Starlink Mini. However, we just had a look on the webcam because I had good reception on my phone, and it looks like it's benign, so pretty happy about that. About a metre of swell. It's a good place for us to stop over for the night. We're going to go around about 1.5 miles upstream to find somewhere to anchor up, but what we'll do in the morning, we'll get up early and we'll make our way out on the corresponding high in the morning at around 6:30, I think it is, in the morning, and that'll give us a good 12 to 13 hour run up to Coffs Harbour. Another interesting milestone being achieved right now. We're about to click over 200 hours on each of the engines. I've run the starboard engine today to catch up to the portside one, which has the hot water system attached to it so that we can have hot showers, but we're about to tick over and we're going to have to do another service around 250. Did the service at 50 hours, the initial service, and then the next one will be all the filters, obviously check the impeller, and obviously oil changes and the like to make sure we keep them in good nick, but they're running just beautifully today. Well, we just came across the Camden Haven bar. Pretty simple stuff. It was beautiful and calm, and we got a little bit of a ride in doing 11 knots as we hit the bar, surfed the last wave through on the leads, and then immediately went right. That is an anchorage straight ahead of us. But
So
that
there's
would be
two, you said in between the 2 yachts there is a
Oh yeah? A mooring, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's the blue one.
Alright, so we're camping here for the night, and yeah, that's brilliant. I'm so glad I came in here.